everyone, my name is Monique Mazerl, and I am a fourth-year nursing student working with the University of New Brunswick in St. John to create some peer-led tutorials or webinars based on medication math. So today we're going to be starting off with the very basics. We're going to be looking at decimals and rounding. So at the end of the video today, we want to be able to round properly to the correct position that we're looking for, and we want to be able to change a fraction to a decimal. So let's look at some rounding rules, some basic ones that we have within medication math and math in general. So if we have a number under 5, the previous number is going to stay the same. So with that example, I mean if we have 0.14, this number is not going to change if we are rounding to the 10th position because 4 is under 5. If we have 5 and over, we're going to increase by 1. So if that same one was 0.15, and we are rounding to the 10th position here, we would round up to 0.2. If we have under 1 ml of medication, we're going to round to the 100th position, so that would be 0.01. And if we were going with over 1 ml of medication, we'd be rounding to the 10th position, which is 0.1, which will make more sense a little bit further on in the video, as well as if you watch the following videos about medication math. So we're looking at the number in the next smallest position. So we have the 10th, the 100th, the smaller, and we're using that to round. Sometimes we round to the 10th, the 100th, the 1000th. It just depends on what the question is looking for. So just to go over what I just taught, we have 0.1. The 1 would be in the 10th position. 0.01, our 1 is in the 100th position. And 0.001, that 1 is in the thousandth position. So let's move on to some examples and do some rounding. So for this example, we want to round to the 10th position. So we know now that the 10th position is the first position after the decimal point. So if we are rounding here, we see that we're going to move to the next smallest number, the next smallest position, which is this 3 here. And when we had our rules at the beginning, we know that if it's under 5, we do not round. So when we're rounding this question to the 10th, it is going to be 0.4. Our next question, we're rounding to the 10th position. So again, that's this one here. This one's a little bit different. We have an 8 in our next smallest position. So the 9 would round to 10. So that's going to bump this number up. We're going to carry the 1 over. We're going to have a 0 here. And we're going to carry the 1 over to create that 10. So our number is going to be 1.0. But in medication math, if this was, if you're drawing up a med, you would leave the 0.0 off because you don't want to add that in. It leads to medication errors. Our next question, 1.342. We know that we're going to the 100th position to round to the 10th. It's 4, so we are leaving it as 1.3. 5.777 in the 100th position is greater than 5, or 5 and greater, so this number is going to be rounded to 5.8. And 6.99, again, the 9 is going to bump this up to a 0, so this is going to be 7. So that's rounding to the 10th position. Let's move on to rounding to the 100th position. So we know that this is the 10th, which means this is the 100th position. So in order to round to the 100th, we're going to be looking at the 1000th position, which is the third one over from the decimal. So let's round here. We want to round to the 100th, so we see that 6 is 5 or greater. So we are going to give this number, it's going to be 0.76. We have 0.4524. We'll put a line right down the middle so that we can see where we're rounding. 2 is less than 5, so we're going to leave it at 0.45. 1.888. So let's draw our line again. We're looking at this 8. It is going to bump this number up because it's 5 or greater, so our number is going to be 0.89. And this one here, we have a 5, so it's 5 or greater. We're going to bump this up, so our number is going to be 17.34 to the 100th position. The next thing I want to do is we will sometimes use fractions within medication math, so I just want to showcase how you're going to change that to a decimal and how you're going to round that. So the first one that we have is 2 over 3. So when you're changing a fraction to a decimal, all you're doing is taking your first number there, so you're taking the 2, and you're going to divide it by 3. So this one divided by this one. So when you do this math, your answer is 0.66666, lots of 6's and a 7. So if we're rounding this to the 10th position, we're going to draw our line in, then we know that our answer is going to be 0.7. If we're doing 67 over 100, our answer is going to be 0.67. Draw our line in. This is going to bump up. Our answer is also going to be 0.7. For 8 over 7, our answer comes out to be 1.1428. Again, we're rounding to the 10th position, so let's draw in our line, and this one is going to remain as 1.1. 35 over 47, our answer is going to be 0.7446. Rounding to the 10th position. I don't know what it was with the 0.7, I just made these numbers up, but we have lots of them today, so it's going to also stay at 0.7. So this is just some of the basics. Use it to guide you to round, which is a really, really, really important thing that we do within medication math. In further videos, I mentioned some rounding rules based upon what you're doing, like I kind of did at the start of the video with the under 1 mil or over 1 mil, as well as in some weight-based calculations. I talk about that as well. But I just wanted to show some of the basics of how to get started with med math.